Howdy doody. Welcome to episode 217 of TDI. This is Dr. O on the horn to start per usual. And as always, I'm joined by my co host, my best friend, and MCU predictor and aficionado, Ricky Flicks. We are back. 10 bold predictions leading into this week's major release, the second major motion picture from phase 5 of the MCU. Had to think about it for a second. Ricky Flicks, what was it like preparing your predictions for James Gunn's last run?
It wasn't easy. And this was one of the harder ones, I think. I have a bunch of ones where I want to say something's going to happen, but I'm not confident. And I think the one thing that you know about these prediction pods, I'm pretty confident on a lot of these. This time around, I'm not. I think most of mine, I don't think any of them are actually odds on favorite. Like it would be minus money. They would all be plus big money.
Yeah, there's a couple that I think I'm 80% sure. And
Well,
there's
yeah.
also a few where I'm thinking this is kind of different from other MCU or DC projects that we've done predictions for because we're not really like looking for necessarily a cameo that's going to hint at the future of this universe because what we're looking at is the end of a run for a lot of these characters for this director. So what we might have like we talk about Ant-Man in the not Ant, well, so yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. When we talk about like what do we think Kane will do, what will it lead to, what kind of post credit, I'm not really thinking as much about that traditional MCU type of prediction, but more so like what are the fates of these characters, and then also what is most specific about the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, what songs I anticipate that may be in this movie. I think I nailed one where it's like the perfect, I think, prediction for an artist slash song. So Ricky Flex, what went into your preparation here? What did you find most difficult?
The most difficult, I think, is the post credit scene. I have an idea. I had one that immediately came to mind, but I don't want to spoil anything because we haven't done it yet. But it doesn't seem likely. I don't think they would do it too soon. Uh, but then I would say the classic box office question is also that's a tough one because the MCU, Quantum Mania, obviously did not do well at the box office for an MCU movie. Coming off of that, so now it's kind of like, all right, where are we at post COVID? Now movie theaters are fully back. Tom Cruise, thank you. Where does this movie line up? The final Guardians movie. And I think that's where I really struggled in my prediction. So I'm hoping that you would help me out there.
So this is an MCU prediction staple of the Drive-In podcast. Ricky Flicks guessing the box office, and I think we should start there because that's what the audiences are familiar with. And I think what we should start off is, and I'm just going to give you a lead in. I believe the domestic opening is projected to be between 115 to 130 million dollars for this film. Ricky Flicks, did you take this into consideration when trying to think of your final box office numbers?
No, no, I didn't. I usually look at worldwide, but you saying that, that's less than Guardians 2 opening weekend, which was like 150 domestic. So Guardians 2 made 869 million worldwide.
Is this $1 billion movie?
I don't think this makes as much as Guardians 2.
Really? You
I,
think
I
the final run potentially of the majority of these characters is not going to culminate with more money than the sequel? The sequel had a lot of hype to it,
I
right?
know that's the problem
So
though. I think
the,
that one had more hype than this one.
and that came out 2017, 3 years after Guardians of the
There's
Galaxy, and now we
MCU
have
fatigue.
2023. Yep, we see the rut that the MCU is in. The critics right now, it seems like if you look on Twitter, it's pretty positive regarding this movie, but yet it stands at about a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes leading into the Thursday, Friday theatrical openings. So, I mean, Ricky Flex, I guess where's your mind at? Where are you thinking? Is it going to at least hit $800 million? Give us our first prediction of today's episode.
Yeah, I think it doesn't make it like my prediction was doesn't make as much as Guardians 2.
Okay.
And I guess I'll just put some other numbers at you, throw a couple of numbers at you. Doctor Strange, okay, 2022, 955 million at the box office. Okay, Wakanda Forever, last November, 859 million. So only 10 million less than Guardians 2. Thor, 760 million. All right. So I don't think this is getting to a billion. I don't think this is getting to Doctor Strange when the MCU still had that hype post WandaVision, post Infinity War, Endgame, Infinity Saga. I even want to say, like Wakanda Forever, the hype behind that movie, I don't think this might be close to that, but I would just go with the under, sadly. Like, I'm just not seeing it.
Okay.
I think the
I,
MCU fatigue's real.
and this is I like this prediction because it doesn't put a number on it, right? It's just going to make less than Guardians 2. The MCU, like phase 3, that was the peak of the MCU,
Right.
right? And leading into this is like 2017 Guardians 2. That's leading into 2018's Infinity War, 2019's Endgame, 2017. Also, you have the same year as Thor Ragnarok comes out. So it's here. It's like, hey, like you saw, we talked about the mediocrity of Phase 4. You know, we talk about what Ant-Man and the Wasp did. And if you have the next big bad of the MCU doing such lackluster numbers, I mean, Guardians, it's going to be hard for them to match that number that they had previously. Do you know what Quantum Mania made? Did you say it?
474 million
Total?
worldwide. I'll double
Oh
check
my
that, but
God. I
bad,
mean,
dude, bad.
that's got to be almost close to like Ant-Man and the Wasp, right?
No, Ant-Man, I think that made a lot more.
Oh my
Let me,
gosh.
yeah, box office 475 million worldwide.
That is insane. And that's why I'm on board with this first prediction, Ricky Flicks. Well done. Put it on our board. Won't make as much as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Ricky Flicks
Ant-Man,
just gave a huge gasp on the
so
YouTube.
like Ant-Man made 520 million. Ant-Man and the Wasp made 623 million.
Wow. Wow. It's all, I think, do you think it's MCU fatigue? Do you think it was the reviews as well? Right? That
Yeah,
did it?
I think maybe the reviews, but also like Ant-Man and the Wasp was after Infinity War, right? So it's like, how are they gonna incorporate the blip? How's this gonna work? And yeah, that was kind of an odd stage. It's like, oh, we have to watch every single Marvel movie, especially right now after Infinity War when half the planet's gone, half the galaxy's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like kind of also had an effect on it. But definitely, I would agree with you. The Rotten Tomato score, because looking at the Rotten Tomato score for Ant-Man and the Wasp, somehow that's at an 87%.
And that's why I think also the villain, I anticipate Shakwiji Uwiju is going to do great as the high evolutionary, yet it's still not the biggest name you anticipate from an MCU movie. You know, Kurt Russell, I think, brought some of that box office appeal with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. When you have Shiwudi Awuji, it's like he is kind of taking a back seat in terms of the promo for this movie. He's not being talked about a lot because everyone just cares about what are the fates of the Guardians themselves. So I think maybe if you had a bigger name there, it's going to do numbers, but they're trying to kind of hype him up with the promo right now. I think James Gunn's saying this is like the harshest villain we've ever seen in the MCU. You could say that all you want. We had a guy who was committed to obliterating half the universe.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, nice try, buddy. Let's go into our second prediction. Right. We're starting off hot, Ricky Flex. Actually, I'll go a little bit smaller scale. We'll build up. I think Howard the Duck makes a cameo in this movie, and I think it's a substantial one. And the way I see it, like he was being held, right? I think it was post credit of the first Guardians where he is alongside the Collector. Howard the Duck obviously has, right, the infamous theatrical release in the 80s. I think James Gunn is wacky enough where he wants to, like, before he says his bon voyage to the MCU, he wants to have a significant inclusion of Howard the Duck. And we know he exists in live action form. He also makes an appearance in What If. It was almost like a reminder that, yeah, he's still around. He's still here. He exists in this universe. And I think it would be very James Gunn if he just lets us know once again Howard the Duck is involved here. So I believe he makes a substantial cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, something that hasn't been teased in the trailers. And I think would be a nice shock to audiences, aside from the fact I'm telling you it's going to happen during this podcast.
So I had this at a smaller scale, and I probably wouldn't have mentioned it. Probably would have been an honorable mention. But now that you said substantial cameo, worthy of a prediction. They've teased him already. with Benicio del Toro, the collector after the first Guardians. He is going to show up in this movie. It's just that I think that's like very odds on favorite. It's more how long. Will it be just a quick scene at a bar, him just being obnoxious and rude, or will it be actually a part of this? And I don't know. Maybe they'll need his. I don't know. They might need him in some capacity to be Adam Warlock. I'm not sure, but I do like the prediction, and I think it's worthy the substantial cameo part of it, most specifically.
Yeah. So like just it's not just like a blip. He's not just a flyby. It's not like a one line when they go to a planet and somehow he's made it away from nowhere and he's on this other planet and it's just him sitting at a bar getting like like plastered, you know. I don't anticipate that. Maybe he's smoking a cigar and they need him for like a battle that they're in. He just happens to be there. Something like that. Something of
Mm,
that nature. And I would love to see him interact with both Groot and Rocket. I think like how like Howard the Duck would just be a nice like big three that they form, right? The triangle of um, oddness, you know, between those
animals.
three characters, uh, animals and nature, trees. Yeah, you got it. All right, that's the second prediction. Ricky Flex, let's hit me with your third.
Do we keep going with the cameos here?
It seems to flow nicely.
So I want to make another cameo prediction, but you can help me here. I think the obvious one that won't happen is Thor. I think,
They're gonna keep bouncing back and
yeah,
forth.
I
You know,
don't
it's
think they'll do that.
a little
But
much.
I think it's a little much. We just saw the Guardians with Thor last year. I don't think they do it.
Too much of
But
a
look,
presence, you know. It's just too
right,
much. Like Infinity War, he totally overshadowed the Guardians.
right. So who has a movie coming up that might be in this movie? Not just the post-credit scene. I'm thinking a Captain Marvel. I'm thinking a Monica Rambeau. Maybe someone with powers that could battle Adam Warlock. Like, I don't like.
Hmm.
Maybe do you not like the? I don't think you
I
like
I
those.
don't like it because I don't think this is going to have much connectivity with the rest of the MCU. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 fell victim to like almost tying in what was coming in Infinity War and Endgame, and not unlike what we saw with the first Guardians of the Galaxy, where everything was really pertaining to the characters and the characters alone. I don't think with James Gunn's final ride, I think he's going to have a lot more free reign, similar to the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and therefore he is not going to feel responsibility to tease anything really aside from maybe like an Adam Warlock, you know.
Okay, so in case you said that, I had a backup.
Smart man.
Maybe an introduction to a character that we don't know about yet.
Okay.
And James Gunn in 2017 teased this character, saying that Marvel was considering using Nova. All right, the super,
Wow.
and Nova Corps and Guardians 1 and 2, I guess, a little. But Nova, just the superpowers that Nova has, I think can be a part of this Adam Warlock type of story. And again, you don't have that connectivity to outside of the Guardians with the greater MCU. It
Hmm.
stays within Guardians to end this trilogy. Only Guardians characters here. That's why, like, maybe you'll be on board for that one.
Ricky, I like where your brain's at. I don't think it's going to happen just because we did that with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with its teasing of Adam Warlock, and we're getting Adam Warlock. I don't think you can overshadow with Nova. Like I don't like the Marvel. That's why I was saying like the predictions for this one's a little different than your other MCU projects, especially at the beginning of a phase where there's so many possibilities, so many projects to come, and you want to be able to connect them. But I think this one is really just going to have the only connectivity is that we're going to end up with a Guardians team at the end of this, and it's not going to be featuring a lot of the main players that we've had. So I think like more of the prediction is going to be like, what is the Guardians team going to look like at the end of this movie that's going to play a role, let's say, in Secret Wars, right? I mean, they all might play a role in Secret Wars
So,
because everyone could come back in some capacity, but like Kang Dynasty.
okay, so I'm just striking out here. But you said who's going to be at the end here? Do you want to just since I'm 0 for 2, do I just go with deaths?
Yeah, dude, send it. Well, I just went with a small scale, like cameo ones. So let's go.
Yeah, we'll bolster this thing up right now. The person out of the Guardians who dies is Drax.
I agree.
There we go. We're on the same page, people. Bautista, like similar to Zoe Saldana and Vin Diesel, said they're done with Guardians after this movie. Okay? I think Groot, he already died once, kind of. I think Gamora already died once. They're not gonna do those two. So yes, they did. Both of those actors said they're not gonna play the character again, but they already died too. So we take those out of the equation. I think Rocket is too obvious, way too obvious with all these trailers, too emotional. So I think it comes down to Chris Pratt and Quill versus Drax. And I just think the storyline connects too much with Drax, with seeing his family again. We did the Guardians of the Galaxy throwback review. I think a big part of that rewatch was seeing the Drax character keep the ode to his family throughout the film and trying to honor his family. And I think that's what he's going to try to do in this movie, and maybe a sacrifice to do it. And you could say the same thing about Chris Pratt, but and Quill. But I think with Drax, it's more complete of an arc. So that's why I picked Drax to die.
Mm-hmm. I think you only had to pick one of the members because there's arguments for him and Peter Quill. You nailed those two guys, right? You did an excellent job explaining why it can't be the other characters. It can't be Mantis because like we're kind of just like getting to know her and we kind of like her, like despite like not seeing too much of her abilities. And we love Palm Clemente. It seems like there was significant shine given in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special where it's like, okay, this is her moment to shine. She's going to be in the future Guardian films or future of the MCU. I like Drax because he lost his family. He wasn't there for his family. He's the last one standing. He's found his newfound family. And I think he's going to find a way to sacrifice himself for his newfound family. And I do think also potentially we might see him sacrifice himself for Mantis, someone that he created a relationship with and a bond with during the holiday special.
I like that.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, you have a lot of great banter between those two characters, a very funny where he calls like Mantis hideous, despite like Drax being like the most hideous creature himself in the entire galaxy. Like there is something like emotional that I think could happen between those two characters. But to play devil's advocate, Quill, right? We find out a major reveal during the holiday special that he is related, right, to Mantis. They are siblings. So in that case, you could argue he might sacrifice himself for Mantis, or he might sacrifice himself for Gamora. We see the clips that come out of Peter Quill, and he's like saying, maybe we could still make this work, Gamora, despite the fact you don't remember me. And then she calls him Quinn, and then we're like, oh my God, she doesn't even know his freaking name. So in that regard, you might be like, oh, like this is where he proves his love for Gamora. It doesn't matter if she remembers him or not, like fate. Something that like could be a theme of this movie, like fate between this love, but I think that's too hard of a decision to make with Peter Quill. And I think it's easy to write the happily ever after between like Gamora and Peter Quill, them finding each other again. So I think Drax is the likely one. Great one.
Yeah, thank you. I think that if you're going to argue for Quill, there's two factors for it. One is the Gamora situation. Maybe Gamora, by the end of the movie, it's a love story where she refalls in love with Quill. And then he dies right when she falls in love with him again.
That would be cruel.
So, which leads me to the second part where James Gunn, this is the last time with Marvel, he can do whatever he wants. He can kill the main character. He can be cruel like that. I think the option's on the table. And if there was an odds of who's going to die, I think that's why Quill, maybe Rocket would be number one just based off the actual footage that we've seen. But that's why Quill and Drax would be like right there battling for the second spot for the odds-on favorite to die out of the crew. If anyone, maybe no one dies.
Yeah, maybe no one dies. I don't know. Drax. Someone's got to go. Like these trailers have been way too emotional for no one to go, and we got to find out like some of those emotional moments, like Peter Quill screaming at the top of his lungs, and the most emotion we've seen from Chris Pratt in any of these movies, like happening in that trailer. There's going to be something huge that happens in this movie, and if it's a letdown and it's not as big of a situation, I'm going to be pissed. Or if it's excluded from the movie completely, but also Chris Pratt. Thinking about him, it would kind of make sense if he died because he gave up the power of being a celestial, right? Being that descendant, right? He wanted to be human, right? To be with, right, this newfound family rather than the one that he's actually related to by blood. Like it would make sense if he died as well. But Drax is the likely one here. I don't think they'll take out both. That's our third prediction. Drax will die in this movie. And Dave Bautista, he doesn't want to be part of this crap anymore. He looks so different too when you look at 2014 Drax compared to what we saw in the trailers. He is so fat in this movie and as Drax.
Oh, I wasn't
I know
gonna go there. I was
I
just gonna say he looks older.
I'm gonna
I was
this
gonna be
this is good.
kind.
This is gonna be on YouTube. I'm gonna put a picture right now of Drax in this trailer, and his face is so round. And when I was watching the first Guardians, I'm like, he looks like he's in wrestler mode. He is so
Yeah.
freaking yoked up in that movie. Next prediction. Let's go into Rocket because we both agree he's not going to die in this one, but this one's going to be a strong Rocket centric story. And we know he probably has the strongest relationship to the villain of this movie, the High Evolutionary. My prediction is it's not really that bold, but the Rocket's going to be the one to take out the High Evolutionary at the end of this movie. Something that is, right, a little safe, right? We go with a big death. We go with also the guy to take out the big bad of this movie, Rocket. Taking out the High Evolutionary. Looks like the High Evolutionary is the one who actually tortured Rocket, made him, tried to make him into this perfect being. Something that's been teased since the first Guardians. When they're in the prison, he takes off his jacket, and he has putting on the yellow sweater that he's wearing in prison, and you see like the marks on his back and Quill staring at him. I think there's a revenge story that's going in with Rocket here, and I think he's not only like seeking vengeance for himself, but all his peers, right? The otter, I forget, I think it's Layla, the otter, I believe Layla, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who's actually played by Hawkeye, like Jeremy Renner's wife in the MCU. I forgot what her name is.
No, I think that's a good safe bet, but it's still like that bet where it's like you bet on the favorite to win like the Stanley Cup playoffs. Not to bring up a sore subject with the Bruins
Linda
hat.
Cardellini.
There you go, Linda Cardellini. I think it's like, oh, you bet on the number 1 seed in the NHL to win the Stanley Cup. Like it's still plus money, but they're the favorite, and they could lose potentially. So I think it's kind of like that.
This is like inevitable almost, it feels, and if it doesn't, it seems like the writing's off in some capacity. I'm not going to question James Gunn, but I'm saying like if you don't make this happen, then I guess I am questioning it. Let's go on to the next prediction, Ricky Flex. We got 4 right now. Let's go on to 5.
All right. For new listeners, another popular type of prediction that we do here is screen time. All right.
I know you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone screen time. What is it going to be? We did it for Professor X. Stallone, I feel like with no Yondu now, he's going to have more of a presence here. I want to say 10 minutes. Is that crazy to say?
I feel like we should be glass half full and not say 10 minutes or less, but more
over.
than 5.
I was talking about over 10 minutes.
So over 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes. So say more than 10 minutes. I think he's going to be in the final battle. That's what I think he's going to be in. And I think there's going to be a call out to all those Guardians that are in the universe, maybe that related to Yondu, right? People may notice their relationship between Yondu and Peter following the events of Guardians 2. And then he sends out an all call. We need all hands on deck. All Guardians assemble. Don't use the word assemble, but you know what I mean. That's reserved for Chris Evans only. Let's have him, his squad, join these Guardians, and then who knows, maybe you make a makeshift team at the end of this that might include Sylvester Stallone. I would say probably not, but could be another prediction mixed in there.
There is another prediction mixed in there, and I have it written down as an honorable mention, but I was mentioning here Sean Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother. What was it, Kraglin? Kraglin takes over the Yondu role with the Mohawk weapon. He could join Sylvester Stallone crew at the end of this too.
Oh, so he may. Oh, I like that. Let's add that.
So yeah. 2 separate ones.
Kraglin joins Sylvester Stallone's crew of Guardians. Yeah, that is thinking outside the box, right? Kraglin joins. Good. All right. And you did back to back. That's okay. I'm not going to get mad about it.
But the first one, are we going to go screen time or are we going to go final battle? Since I went back to back, I'm okay doing final battle because I do think it's going to be all hands on deck in the final battle.
Okay, so let's say Sylvester Stallone will participate, will destroy in the final battle.
Got it.
Against the High Evolutionary and whatever his minions are. Then Kraglin joins Sylvester Stallone's Guardians, right? That's perfect. Okay. And that's going to be because this one might be disbanded. The Guardians might be officially retired after this. They might go their separate ways, or they just go off riding to the sunset into their respective families slash almost like what Thanos got when he watched right the sunset, right, or the sunrise on a beautiful universe.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he used a quote there. Let's go into something crazy. I want to talk soundtrack. This is something that is super bold. You're going to have Champagne Supernova by Oasis in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You might ask why. And I point to, in the meantime, Space Hog. We talk about the soundtrack playing such a role in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Space Hog, you think 1994. I think this is the latest we've ever had, the music from the Guardians. Their technology is progressing slowly. We've gone from the video, we got goes from the cassette players. Now I think we had the Zune. Maybe we go to the iPod video. Maybe we go to an MP3 player of different sorts. Whatever's after Zune. And I think we get Champagne Supernova because it has very galactic type of theme or right title to the song. It could be beautiful with the backdrop of space. This is obviously super bold, but I wanted to do something with the soundtrack. This is the one that I had as favorited to appear. Do you like it? Do you want to get rid of it? Let me know what you feel.
I love it, but there's a problem. So you know that listeners of this pod know that I am a see the movie before reading the book. I like to be surprised. I don't like trailers showing
Oh no.
So when I found out the soundtrack got released for this movie, I don't know, like a couple weeks ago, I've been avoiding it at all costs. So the soundtrack is out. We could know the answer right now if that's in
Don't
the
look.
movie.
Don't look.
I'm
Don't be
not.
that guy.
So we can keep it. I do like it. The problem is we have the answer already out there. It's a quick Google. I just said we keep it.
Okay. Okay, fine. Let's keep it. I don't know. I'm now it's super unique. Like this one is like plus like 10,000 that it's right. This one is very, very, very
If
bold. And
Nova was in it or the Nova Core
oh,
helps it out more.
that could add a little bit to it. Champagne Supernova. I think it could be beautiful as the sun sets on the universe. I think it could work. Let's keep it just because I think I was influenced by Space Hog, right? In the meantime, being played. I'm like, gosh, it kind of makes sense if you had an Oasis song in here, especially if in the meantime isn't actually played in the movie, which tends to happen with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like Fox on the Run is played for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 trailer, but doesn't appear in the actual movie. Like I think the Cheap Trick Surrender, I think, was played only in the post-credit scene. I think it was played in the trailer too for one of the Guardians 2 trailers.
So are we saying it's in the soundtrack or in the movie?
But if it's on the soundtrack, it's in the movie.
Okay, well you're just saying there that like Fox on the Run wasn't, but it's on
Well,
the
I'm saying
soundtrack.
in the meantime, I don't think it's going to be in the movie.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Should I go with another one?
Yeah, go with another one, and then I'll go, and then that'll be 9, and then back to you for 10.
Let's go with something obvious. Jennifer Holland, his wife's going to be in this movie. I don't know if it's confirmed or not.
It's not confirmed. I don't know how because she's not in the MCU, but she's got to be an extra or something.
He's madly in love. He's crazy in love, and he wants his wife to be in every single superhero project that he's ever produced. And I think he single-handedly has launched her career, right? Following her playing Harcourt in the spinoff to the Suicide Squad with Peacemaker. She's then evolved and she's continued that character into Black Adam and then the post-credit for Black Adam. And now James Gunn sees this huge opportunity last time for her potentially to be in the MCU, and he has power over that. I think he's going to put her in this movie. So I'm going to go with Jennifer Holland, a.k.a. Mrs. James Gunn, will be in this film. Do you have an issue with her being in this movie and her being in every single one of his projects? Do you think it's kind of it's a form of nepotism, I guess? If it's maybe not your kid, obviously, but you're putting family members ahead of other people and giving her opportunities. But then again, A lot of people have favorite collaborators that they work with and
Yeah,
actors. Like,
and
are you okay with that?
yeah, and look at Sean Gunn, who we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then
Michael Rooker, like very much James Gunn guys, get James Gunn people. So, and those obviously collaborators, we have Tarantino, we Scorsese, we can go on.
he's earned the right to have her in the movie, I think.
Yeah. So and it's just like that comfortability. Now, it's just funny because I just Googled like Jennifer Holland movies. It's just hilarious looking at this. She was in American Pie, The Body of Love in 2009. She was in Zombie Strippers. I've never heard of it. She was in
James Gunn produced it.
Brightburn, which is that
James
another
Gunn
James
produced.
Gunn. Yeah. It's just like
This the evil Superman movie.
But hey, all power to you, literally.
She's not the villain.
Absolutely.
She's not a main player here. I can't see her as a future member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but like put her in something where she's like showing up with Howard the Duck for a second. Sure. Do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's a nice callback, and it lets you know it's a James Gunn movie. Like like the movies are somewhat personal. Sometimes we need a personal feel to these huge blockbusters. I'm okay with it. I do not care. He's earned the right to put her in the goddamn movie. All right, that's 7 predictions so far, Ricky Flex.
I have 8 written down.
I have okay. Let's just recap so far.
Yeah, it's a good
One,
idea, actually.
this movie profit wise will not make as much as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I have 2, Howard the Duck will make a substantial cameo in this film. Number 3, I have Drax dies. 4, Rocket will be the Guardian to take out the High Evolutionary. 5, Sylvester Stallone will participate in the final battle of this film. 6, Kraglin will join Sylvester Stallone's Guardians at the end of this film. 7, Jennifer Holland will be in this movie in some capacity. And that's all I have so far.
Oh, I had the Champagne Supernova one too.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to do it. I forgot to type that in.
I forgot to mention this too for the Rocket one. I think I was caught up in something. The only thing I could actually see the other person killing the High Evolutionary besides Rocket is Adam Warlock. And that prediction's too obvious to say he makes the turn to be a hero because that's
I just thought of a new prediction. I kind of wanted to replace this Champagne Supernova. Can I just throw it at you real quick? Because it hit me like a freaking lightning bolt.
Go.
We're trying to like show that these like Marvel TV specials connect to the larger scale projects. What does Rocket get as a present at the end of the holiday special? Do you remember?
No.
Bucky's arm. My prediction: Nebula uses Bucky's arm in this movie.
Okay, let's replace Champagne Supernova, or we could add that as
Replace it. That's a bonus one. That's definitely that could happen, right? Like you saw like a clip of like Adam Warlock absolutely destroying Nebula. Maybe she is like literally needs new parts of her body, and then she has this arm. And it's like Rocket, turning into more of a selfless type of being potentially this movie, showing a lot of growth, gifting her this arm that has this incredible ability. I think that would be an amazing moment if she started to use Bucky's arm, and it provides the connectivity and those Easter eggs that MCU fans love. I think Nebula uses Bucky's arm that somehow Rocket got during the holiday special.
I like it. Okay. Another clarifying thing, box office. The first one, box office worldwide, less than Guardians 2, just to be clear. All right. This wouldn't be an MCU predictions pod again without a prediction for the post-credit scene. All right. I hinted at this at the beginning. I don't think it's going to be Kang, especially with what's going on with Jonathan Majors. But who connects to the Guardians Galaxy universe? And who hasn't really been talked about, but I brought it up in the last episode, the Celestials. The Eternals. Somehow. A post-credit scene.
I like post-credit. I like Eternals reference post-credit scene.
Yeah, and like if you didn't like that one, I was gonna say, oh, who was in the post-credit scene for Eternals that's getting a movie soon? Oh, that's Blade or Black Knight Harrington, like that would be like another version. Or if you wanted to get really crazy, Fantastic Four, but obviously they don't even have that cast really. That would be kind of shocking. They did Eternals type of Harry Styles type casting for Fantastic Four. Here, I don't think that would be the case. I think Eternals is the best bet for a bold prediction here.
And Eros in Eternals gave off more so Guardians of the Galaxy vibes than he did Eternals vibes. Where
Yes. Yes.
and the Patton Oswalt character, I forgot what character that name is. Do you know that character's name? It's like the little gremlin dude. Well, I think they are much more suited for Guardians, and I feel like there might be a mention again of them. And also, we kind of forget that the Eternals movie even happened. We don't really talk about it whatsoever. There were mentions in Thor: Love and Thunder, but people like to forget about that movie too. It'd be nice if the Eternals can be generated with a little bit of excitement from audiences uh, with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume
Right.
3, a movie that
It
people will
needs it.
see,
It
you
needs
know?
it.
It-
And it was Pip the Troll, Patton Oswalt's
Pip the
character.
Troll, that's it. But Eternals reference post credit, lock it in. That's good, which means we're down to one more.
What are you thinking?
Okay, let's fire a couple at you. Okay. Um, I was going to say something about F bombs.
Hmm.
Uh, this has kind of already been revealed, and there was a scene in the movie shown where it's Peter trying to show Nebula how to get into a car, and she can't open it. It's very Guardians-esque, like, oh my god, you don't know how to open a car door, you will never make it on Earth. And Peter Quill drops an F bomb, and I was starting to think like James Gunn also made a comment like Kevin Feige said, "Do you want to be the director who is known for bringing the first F bomb to the MCU?" And James Gunn said, "Hell yeah, I do." Or he should have said, "Yeah, I do." You know, that would have made sense. But what I think is potentially we do get an F bomb, but it's not in that scene because that'd be kind of a waste of an F bomb. You need the F bomb in like the final battle or at a very like climactic moment and a great moment for the audience to go like, yeah, or something like that. And the moment that they showed where they're just in a driveway and Peter Quill screaming at Nebula like it's like Christmas vacation, I'm just like, this isn't where you should have the F bomb. You have to do it in a very impactful moment and where it's like, what if it was Rocket who said it? And that would be amazing, you know? Or if it was Quill that said it. It's gonna be one of those two. I think there is gonna be an F bomb, and either I'm deciding whether it's gonna be in that scene that they showed, or that scene doesn't really happen and it's actually taking place later in the film. I think there's something with an F bomb that can be done.
Okay, I agree, and I think there is like a competitive factor, or like I want to be the first factor with James Gunn, especially on his way out, and with Deadpool coming in the MCU. I do think there is that. So I'm
Maybe
all in
two
for
F
this.
bombs.
Now I don't know. Two would be. I think that loses the impact.
There'll be an F bomb in the final battle sequence or in the final act of the movie. I also have ones that are a little more large scale that we can throw around. We don't have to commit to anything.
I'm out of. I'm all out of predictions. So just maybe we'll go over your honorable mentions, and then we can pick one if we don't like the F bombs.
I feel like we have to have an Adam Warlock prediction. And I'm
Okay.
thinking at the end of this movie, we have a depleted Guardians squad. Will Adam Warlock be the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of this movie?
I think he's just a hero. I don't know if he's the leader of the
Okay.
Guardians, but it's too obvious because we all know he becomes a hero at
I
some point.
also, hmm,
It'll be bold if we say he doesn't make the turn in this movie, but I don't see that happening because the High Evolutionary is the one that he turns on, or the High Evolutionary turns on him, and yeah,
So it's just like he's going to join the Guardians eventually, go to the other side for the final battle, and just go his separate ways. Is that what's going to happen?
that's what I was thinking.
Maybe we could do
Or it takes the
something.
entire movie, like they go against Adam Warlock in the final battle, and then he realizes at the end, like, oh, High Evolutionary, he's not on my side. I should be on the Guardian side.
And I do agree where it's like when you look at comic book lore, like Adam Warlock's not traditionally a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. You know,
Mhm.
he's a very powerful character on his own. And the thing about being a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like you need like each member of the team to be successful. It's not like you could have like a story about Peter Quill on his own and it's much more engaging or interesting or entertaining if he's with the rest of the Guardians. You know, he's too powerful to be a Guardian. And we saw what Thor did, right? Thor and Love and Thunder, where it's like he just wasn't a Guardian of the Galaxy. He's just like he's too powerful. He takes away the shine from the other guys. The other guys despise him for it. You can't have Adam Warlock. So let's do this. Which character is a part of the current team will be a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy at the end of this movie? Let's do that one. So like Mantis, I think will be a part of the Guardians team. I think Rocket and Groot will still be a part of the Guardians team. but I think everybody else is gone.
Gone, like they just leave the team, and I think their friendship family is like too big for them to spend.
Peter, Gamora go off, live on their own. Drax dies. Everybody else stays together. Nebula probably stays with the crew.
This is a tough one. I could even see Mantis not being a part of the team and like somehow like getting a role on a planet or like a leadership
She has
role or
earned
something.
her spot on the
I
Guardians.
know, but like I don't know. I could see.
Where's she gonna go?
I just feel weird if they're all alive and they split up. I think they all are responsible for them like living a successful, happy life versus like they all would have been loners and losers.
Okay.
So if you take away the Guardians, the team factor, then they are just losers again, even though they could be happy. I just don't see them splitting up.
What does the team look like then? Because these guys aren't. There's going to be more Guardians movies. James Gunn has said this is not the end of like what the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be. It's just the end of the run of most of these characters. And they're
okay, fine. Okay,
what is it going to look like?
Let's go bold then. Let's go Rocket, Groot. I think multiple people can play Groot. I think Bradley Cooper hasn't made a comment about not wanting to play the Rocket anymore. Let's keep going with Mantis.
It's like he's not even a part of the team. Like whenever they take pictures, promo, stuff like that, like Bradley Cooper's just not there. Like somehow Vin Diesel's there sometimes, but Bradley Cooper's never there. He doesn't want to be associated.
I just feel weird because like the people I'm thinking of is Rocket, Groot, Mantis, and Nebula, but that doesn't seem like a good because if Gamora and Quill leave, Drax dies like we predict. It's just the four of them, and I don't think that jives good enough.
You don't think so? Like Sylvester Stallone could be a part of this team? You don't think like maybe someone from his squad, like maybe a Kraglin can still be with this team, but still
not an alpha,
right? Which made me think like Adam Warlock was going to be the alpha, but he's too powerful of a being.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why like I don't even know what the prediction would be. It's just tough.
I don't know either. Why don't we do something about Teenage Groot then? I'm the idea guy right now. I need you to give me something.
I had a lot of ideas here and I got shut down.
What was your best bad idea?
The Nova one. I like the Nova one, and he
okay. So we're gonna run it back. Like, is it also gonna be post credit, or you think there's just in general? We'll just say Nova will be referenced for the first time in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
No, I don't like it anymore.
We hit the F-bomb one. We can go Champagne Supernova.
Let's go F-bombs. Do we not do F-bombs yet?
No, that was the one we were thinking about. So when I said like there's going to be an F-bomb in the final climax of this movie.
I like it.
Yeah. There'll be the final act.
Does it have to be in the final act?
Well, like we know there's potentially going to be one because of like the promo clip we got.
Okay, I think I missed that clip then because I don't think I saw it. But yeah.
Okay, let's read these back and see if we have to go any bigger or bolder. So 10 predictions. 1, this movie will not make as much money as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 2, where you're going to get a substantial Howard the Duck cameo in this. 3, our beloved Drax, played by Dave Bautista, will die in this film. 4, Rocket is going to be the one to take out the High Evolutionary. 5, Sylvester Stallone will participate in the final battle. 6, Kraglin's going to join Sylvester Stallone's Guardians of the Galaxy. 7, Jennifer Holland will be in this movie in some capacity. 8, Nebula will use Bucky's arm in the movie, my favorite prediction that we have. 9, there's going to be an Eternals reference in the post-credit because they have been done dirty so far after the lackluster theatrical performance of their movie. Sorry, Chloe Zhao. I don't know if we're ever going to see it in the MCU again. And 10, there will be an F-bomb in the final act of this movie. Not bad.
Not bad. I think we ended lacklusterly with the F-bomb, but I do think the 10 are good.
Throw a bonus in there. You could do one of your crazy ones as a bonus. Do it. What's your one that's like, okay, this one is kind of crazy, but it might be crazy enough to work?
I do like the Marvels, some sort of the Marvels, like part of like a post credit scene or something.
Oh, no, we can't have Marvels a part of this. Do the Nova one. Do the Nova.
Well, I already said that one. All right, Nova's in the movie.
We're not teasing the Marvels. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I'm not saying I
just like something crawled on my back when you said that.
If you want to go crazy, then it's a Fantastic Four.
No,
Post-credit scene.
Jesus, the Galactus mention maybe.
Yeah, like
Galactus.
that. Like, what better way to get to get past phase
We need
4,
some
get excited
excitement.
back. This is the movie where people should be going back to seeing the MCU after Quantum Mania, after everything that's happened in phase 4. This should be the movie, a beloved franchise, arguably the most beloved, right? Have a great post-credit scene to get you back in the theaters for another MCU movie. That's not with Eternals. That's Fantastic Four.
Shit, Ricky. Let's do it. Nova or Fantastic Four. Pick one. Galactus or Nova, because Galactus has been
Galactus.
rumored.
It's gonna be like, oh my god, it's gonna be like, fine, I'll do it myself. Thanos post-credit scene.
Especially if we're trying to get away from Kang as a big bad potentially. Like, let's
Yes.
push Galactus a little bit. So
Yeah, and think about
Galactus
like
will
when
be referenced. You want to do reference in the movie or post credit? Post credits where it's got to happen, right?
Yeah. Because like again, we saw the Celestial and Guardians for a brief moment, so I can see like a quick reference. But like, I think post credit scene's better because I'm thinking Avengers 2012. It's like fine, I'll do it myself. But then we don't see Thanos until 2018. We don't have to see Galactus until 2026.
Yeah, and there's a lot of excitement. There might be some confirmations about casting of the Fantastic Four very soon. Stay tuned to the checkup this week to see who's rumored. And by the time we record for Friday's episode, we may have confirmation. And let me just tease, the names are big. The names are big. You could say they don't get any bigger than the castings that we have potentially, at least roles that have reportedly or rumored to have been offered for the Fantastic Four. So it would kind of line up very well if we did get like a big Galactus type of like, it's like reveal. And it seems like the timing's very interesting. Galaxy, Guardians, could work. Space. All right. So that's our 10+1. I like it. Started off little rocky. That's because I don't think this is a prototypical MCU prediction episode. Okay. This is going to be a tearful journey, a tearjerker. This is the last time we get to celebrate all these characters together. I know I'm excited. I've heard wonderful things about the movie. Make sure that you're following this podcast in order to get our review next Monday. We're also going to be having a guest for that Monday review. We're also going to be debating the soundtracks of Guardians Volume 1, 2, and 3. Which one will be on top of the mountain by the end of the episode? Make sure you also, as I said before, check up Trailer Roundup. Guess what trailer is coming out tomorrow, Ricky Flex? Dune Part 2. Dune
Best
Part 2. We have Gladiator 2 castings as well. A lot of exciting things and potential confirmations of Fantastic Four casting. So you're gonna want to subscribe. You're gonna want to leave 5 stars and you're gonna want to leave reviews. Make sure you do that. Make sure you also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Drive-In Pod. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening to this, make sure you check out our throwback review in preparation for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We did 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy, and we debated whether it's a Mount Rushmore MCU film in terms of importance. You're going to want to check that out. So, Ricky Flex, any final thoughts before we sign off?
We will be seeing Guardians. Oh, we know we're not going to be seeing Guardians before we do the checkup, so never mind. But we're seeing it Thursday night. I can't wait to see it, obviously. But this Monday's episode is going to be a big episode. Not only because we have a guest of the year, but because I don't know, this is like just a property where it's kind of the beginning of the end of the first kind of what we know as the MCU. Iron Man's gone, Thor. I don't know. That doesn't look good. Through the Chris Hemsworth health issues, Captain America's gone. Like the Chris Evans Captain America, I should say. Like Hulk, I guess he's still here. Black Widow's gone. Like this is kind of the next one that's kind of gone. We're getting past that the core origin movies of the MCU as we know it, and it's kind of sad. So this is going to be a big review. Big review.